Just got done watching Alien Earth Episode 3 Metamorphosis. These are my spoilery-filled thoughts. Again, that means there will be spoilers in this video. We're back in the game here, boys and girls. I was a huge fan of Episode 1. I thought Episode 2 was a little weak and more strong on, like, ridiculous violence, which is fine. But Episode 3 really got back to the heart and feel of Episode 1. The creature looks 1,000 times better than it looked in Episode 1 and 2. They really got it right this time. A lot of dripping wetness. It didn't look weird or odd in any way. Wendy and it did some battle there. When they're wheeling these creatures into the lab, it really had like that Jurassic Park feel from the first one when they were wheeling that Velociraptor in. It took all those guys because they had like the helmets on. They were moving all these safety things in there. Kirsch and Morrow finally had that confrontation on the ship that we saw from the trailer. You're on my ship. The ship belongs to me, except there's a lot more like baseball analogies thrown in there during it, which is fun. Kirsch is definitely the most human-like synthetic I think we've ever seen. You know, we're talking about Bishop, Ash, David, Walter. He just feels more human-like he gets to tell jokes and he gets the feel of how to communicate with human beings. Babu Cisse's Morrow is the star of the show. Every scene he is in, I'm captivated by. He steals the show every time he opens his mouth. We got to hear the monsters scene that we get to see from all the trailers and everything like that. He has a scene with the Lost Boys, Slightly and Smee, that gets very interesting, and I think it'll play out very well down the line. They go back and forth with some riddles, and he asks them, when is a machine not a machine, more or less. And he has one of the most haunting lines I think I've ever heard. Smiley and Smee ask him, "Are you a robot?" And he says something along the lines of, "Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice of what I am? I have the worst parts of a man," something along those lines, because he's a cyborg. He's a combination of human with cybernetic attachments and enhancements. We talked about this last week. I think Fox had a theory that was confirmed here. Wendy has some kind of psychic link between herself and the facehuggers and the Xenomorphs, and we'll probably find out more about that in the future episodes, but you can see it really in this episode, the link between the two of them. Up here, she can hear their screaming and everything like that. And this first time we ever get to see, an actual facehugger embryo, swimming around and everything like that. That was really neat. I really wasn't sure what the title Metamorphosis was going to have to deal with. Are we going to see some kind of change in creature we've never seen before? But I really think it has to deal with the human hybrids coming into their own and evolving from children into what they're actually supposed to be. You see a lot of them start to question what they are, especially Slightly, Curly, and Nibs. Especially Nibs is going through some stuff right there. She's in a James Wan horror movie going on. And Wendy seems to be the only one that's on this frequency. So I don't know if she might be the only one that hear it, or maybe when they get a little older, they'd be able to hear the alien frequency. We don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. There was one part in the trailer where it looked like Morrow was being tortured because he had those 24 things in his head. But then you see in this episode, he's actually downloading all the data from the ship into his mind, and then it gets erased. He then goes to make a call to the head of Weyland-Yutani, who it turns out, I think her granddaughter was in charge now because she had passed away because the ship had been out there for 65 years. Babu Cisse's Morrow might be my favorite character on the show, but Kirsch might be the best part of the show. There's a scene where he kind of scolds Boy Cavalier, so I'm kind of getting this vibe that maybe Kirsch isn't just a father figure or a mentor to him, and he might be Boy Cavalier's father in synthetic form, he made him in that image. And he does have one scene where he puts these goggles on. It really reminds me of Rick and Morty with the hair. We get to find out a lot about Morrow, that he had a daughter, and then he's, most of the people he knows on Earth are dead now. But he kind of has a real parallel with Ripley, because he says these creatures, these specimens are my life, and I'll bring them back to you. Well, aliens are kind of like Ripley's life, and she says this in Alien 3, you've been in my life forever and everything like that. So it's kind of a parallel between those two characters. One really wants to be with these creatures, and the other one's get away from me, but I can't. They're inescapable. Tonight's episode, Metamorphosis, ends with the Metallica Where I May Roam song playing overhead in the background, so we'll have to wait until next week's episode. And episode 4 is entitled Observation. So next Tuesday we'll get a look at episode 4 of Alien Earth. Don't worry, guys, I'll have a bunch more videos this week talking about this episode. It's one of my favorites so far.